Good morning. My name is Kelly Bowker. Welcome to my channel, Present Moment Magic. The following video is a wonderful one-to-one meeting that I had with a beautiful young lady who was struggling with some really big questions. And she was asking about things like karma, things about dealing with relationships and how to not precipitate patterns of behavior that have gone on for generations in a family, which is something that lots of us struggle with. The guides gave beautiful advice around how to do those kinds of things and the perspective to have. And we went on to have a wonderful conversation full of tips and tricks to live your best life and give yourself permission to be loved and valued and nurtured. I am going to give a little disclaimer. For some reason, I had a terrible potty mouth that day. There's a lot of F-bombs. Sorry about that. I've never hid the fact that I can be kind of naughty mouth sometimes, but it comes from the heart. It absolutely does. And I hope you enjoy it. And if you find it to be a blessing, I hope that you like, subscribe, share my video with a friend who it could help. And I hope you enjoy it. Thank you so much.
So I think I was just kind of at the place of, like, I can take it so many places. The concept, everybody has a different perspective, and the perspectives come from different groups and different ideologies. I appreciate that you were brought up you said Baptist, right? So you had a very strong religious background. Graham had a very strong religious background, so to speak. I always thought religion was phooey and never knew how to reconcile it with me. It was very odd and constricting and oppressive to me, like from the get-go. I didn't know how to appreciate it. And so anyway, what I'm getting at is I know there's so many different perspectives on what people should do for relationships in life and what it does to impact people. And then, I don't really like the idea of getting stuck in a circle of karma. I don't want to be reliving and not progressing, right? So I see myself making the same mistakes, or I don't know. I'm not really giving you a question. I'm just kind of like all over the place.
You're not, honey, you're not. What you're giving me is energy, and it's helping me to understand. So okay. That's you just keep right on going. You're doing fine. We got nothing but time.
Well, that's cool. Well, so then I guess and this is where it comes to like some of the bigger questions that I was thinking about is when we talk about past lives, but we also, or people recognize that past lives are actually all happening at the same time. So everything's literally happening at the same time. Okay, so that was hard for my brain to get around, but I can fathom it. I can fathom what it means, sure. But does that mean, like, then how much do I go back and apologize, or how much do you go back and, the idea is give love, right? So do you love other people so much that you don't have any love? How am I trying to say this?
I can tell you one big thread that I'm getting out of this. There's a lot of you thinking about what you should do. What should I do? Well, how do I do this? How do I do this? How do I fix that? Should I do that? Should I this? When you sit in that energy of the, like, even so, let's really get big for just a minute, because you're a big thinker, and you're thinking about all of these lives, and you're thinking about karma, huge fucking undertakings to think about. And you're thinking, well, Jesus Christ, for one thing, I don't want to fucking live this shit all over again, over and over and over again, right? It's like, and if there's something I'm supposed to fucking do to figure it out, I want to fucking figure it out. I want to figure it out. That's right. I get it with all love, no judgment at all. I get exactly. I got that energy. You got that through beautifully.
Yeah.
So I'm they're nudging. So I'm not even going to talk to it. I'm going to let them talk to it, because they're can you hear them?
I can hear it. Yeah.
Can you hear them? All right, because so they've got something they want to say. So let me just settle a minute.
Okay.
It is the absolute basis of so much human suffering when the human sits in the energy of trying to figure out what is their next move. What are they supposed to be doing? This is part of the agreement that was settled on when you decided to incarnate in this human incarnation. You agreed to the duality. In order to experience the duality, you have to be able to see both sides. That is how the essence that you refer to as God expands. They doesn't matter, don't get hung up on semantics, expands through the experiencing of its beingness. The beingness that is God, we'll use the God for lack of a better term, the all that is, the original creation, the original source. Picture an explosion of infinite amounts of shards going forth. That is a way to think about your soul. Your oversoul is one of those shards that when the explosion, when that which is God decided to expand, the only way for expansion, this is a very simple way of explaining this, but the only way for expansion would be through experience. All of the being expansion had taken place. Now there was the next level. When that soul that is your, we'll use the term oversoul, the all that is you, the wave in the ocean being it all, and your soul being the wave. Then it breaks to the drops of water within the wave. You are the drop. Your oversoul is the wave. So when you are thinking about this moment in time, and you ask yourself about the shoulds, and you consider that entire wave of, let's say souls, incarnations, however you want to think about it, this is just for thinking, is happening now. If that is all true, doesn't it in some small way take some of the pressure off? You are not responsible and creating. Now, we don't want Kelly to get off on a wrong track. You do have the ability, Sylvia, in the present moment to settle into your connected self, your loving, true essence of who you are. And when you settle into that and you breathe that love into your heart, when you have created space within the essence of who you are in this incarnation, you do have the ability, like a pond, a pebble in a still pond, to have an effect across the whole wave of incarnations. Let us use that term. Does that make sense to you? But we would say, so I'm asking because, so does that mean then if we are pissed off, are we affecting the wave? I'm asking that. It is a complex topic. So if you were to put it into words and say, does the human in their present incarnation, when they are vibrating at a low level, does that go out and affect across the timelines? Feeling like I'm filtering. Give me just a minute. Oriara moko ozikia karakatiro como kara kieza kara como toro kotatara kiara kasoto tiara katara kasara kata. This one is stuck on this. She's trying to figure it out, and that is she's not allowing the answer to come. Give it just another moment. Ariara como ko okazi ara como kotorokota zakarakiara katotoko okarakiara katotokota. Aziara katiara moko kariara katara kazikia. I'm reaching for the highest frequency that will give me the answer to this question. Help me to get out of the way. Ariara komoko ozo kori ara katiara kata for our highest and greatest good. Ariara moko mazikiara katotoro omazarakia tatarakia sakotoro kamata. There is the rippling effect, but we would say that it has a much less potential than when oh yes, that's right, let it come. The frequency, the higher the frequency, the stronger the frequency. The lower level emotions, the frequency that they travel on is not nearly as, let's use the word potent, as the higher level. That is not to say that when those lower level frequencies are truly extraordinary and exacerbated, that they have a bigger footprint. And yes, that we would say they do. But we do not want you to get too caught up in the worry of across timelines and incarnations. If you do not keep yourself too confused with the nuts and bolts, shall we say, of how things work, and settle yourself into the simplicity of the truth of this incarnation, that the only work you have to do is in the present moment. The only work you have to do. Kelly feels like that we repeat ourselves, and we will repeat ourselves until she no longer brings us through, because it is the only power. It is the magic. When you settle, it does not matter. You look, the idea of the relationship with your son is coming into Kelly's mind. We are bringing it to her mind. We would say to you that there is only, it is your egoic mind, Sylvia, that is reaching into the past with judgment and sorrow and grief and emotions when you look at that time. But please remember, your beautiful son chose you as a mother, knowing exactly where you were in your emotional evolution when he would come forth. This was an agreement that was made between you. This is part of his journey, in the same way that you made the agreement with your mother and the situations that you lived in those early years. From if you pull the souls back to the oversoul, and you then think of the soul families, how interconnected so many are, these decisions are made prior to coming forward. You knew there would be those challenges. Your son knew there would be the potential of the postpartum. These things are, oh, they're giving me a picture of like that boardroom. They always showed me, it looks like a boardroom, and everyone is gathering and talking about what is for the best, what are we going to manifest within this incarnation that is going to be for the highest of all, the potentially highest for all. And it goes right to that understanding that they've given me over and over now, that when we look at the perpetrator, we need to look at them with all of the same love and compassion as we look at the victim, because they are pure positive energy that took on the burden and the difficulties of this incarnation. They took it on to be able to give you the opportunity for this expansion. And if you can see those difficult ones in your life through that lens, and see them playing out like a person on a stage, it gives you a little bit of a different perspective.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
I'm just asking if they want to say something else. So there's no question that where you are in your evolution now, and you look at the relationship between you and your son, you feel that you want something to change. The change will happen, dear one, when you heal, when you love and nurture and parent is a good word, your own inner self, because when your energy is healed, it will radiate to those that you love, and the relationship will go from there on. Imagine, if you would, the idea of the highly evolved individual coming into a past relationship and being able to speak the truth with the energy radiating of love and compassion, and allowing whatever has to flow. If anger has to flow, it can be allowed. If grief or sorrow has to flow, it can be allowed. And that the energy has the ability to transmute and to transform all of the hurts of the past. This is the time in history when this work can be done. So talk at length about the day-to-day care that you can give to yourself. And with the knowing that every moment you spend doing that, it is doing for your family. It is doing for your loved ones. People cannot give from an empty well. They can try, and they do, but they bring up dust. There's nothing there. The quality of what comes forth is dust. When you do the work to fill your own well with that beautiful crystalline energy, beautiful, pure crystalline energy, it will radiate from you, dear one. It will radiate, and it will bathe the people around you. They're saying, so talk about the nuts and bolts. You know, they're saying, you know, lots of these pieces, you're struggling to practice it. We all do. We all do, sweetheart. I do. Yeah. I forget. You get in your human, you get doing your human shit, the tasks, they call it the mundane tasks of life. Yeah. We get so busy and so caught up in the mundane tasks of life that we forget that even in the mundane tasks, that nurturing energy can be happening. It is the difference between saying, oh Christ, I got to get up and clean that kitchen, and going up and doing it, and maybe even putting a Kelly YouTube video on and trying to listen to something positive, and
Right.
but you're pushing your way through, you're getting the shit done, you're doing your shit. It is the difference between doing it that way and taking a few minutes and saying, oh, that kitchen needs to be cleaned. And you settle yourself into adult Sylvia or adult Kelly. And you say to the inner self, wherever on the age continuum it is, it doesn't really matter. It's the other aspects of you. Any aspect that is not the adult aspect of who you are is who we're talking to. Okay.
Right. Okay.
The adult aspect, an easy way to think of it, I'm not sure if this is Kelly now, I'm not sure if it's 100% right, but neutral is your adult aspect. That neutral, observational, well, hell, look at that. Yep, that's happening. Look at that. Yep, there goes again.
Okay.
That's your adult self. And well,
Sure,
shit,
okay.
I guess I got to do X, Y, and Z, because if I don't, the ship's going to sink or whatever. But it's not from
Right.
that place. It's from that, well, shit, we got a hole in the ship. I'm going to get the duct
Right.
tape. Let's get her done.
Let's just start working on
Let's
it.
get
Okay.
let's get
Yep.
it done. Okay, so that's the adult chair. Have you heard me talk about the chairs, that the podcast with the chairs? It's called the Adult Chair Podcast. And
Oh, I haven't heard that. Okay.
yeah, and
Okay.
I only listened to I think the first 3 or 4 of the episodes when she talks in detail about what is the adult, what is the adolescent, and what is the child, the aspects of that. And then once I understood that, I start to identify them. So you're sitting and you're thinking, my floors look like shit. I really ought to wash the floors. And instead of just doing it, you take a minute and you observe it. Yep, my God, the floor is dirty. And it is, quite frankly. It's something I need to do. And, so you think, yeah, it is dirty. And then you know that feeling you get in your stomach of, I don't want to do the floor. I hate doing the fucking floor. The fucking floor sucks. Or that little, it might be a twinge of anxiety, or dread, or whatever it is. That's the reaction from the inner child. So then you think to yourself, you say to a 5-year-old, I need you to clean that floor. What is the perspective of the 5-year-old? So, okay, so I'm gonna play this out in my mind. The 5-year-old is thinking about having to do the floor. I don't like doing what I don't want to do. Maybe I want to play right now. I feel like I want to play. Why can't I play? I want to play. And then adult Kelly would say, well, yeah, I understand you wanting to play. That's understandable. Yeah, I like having fun. Yeah, I do understand that. I would ask you this, sweetheart, though, why can't it be fun cleaning the floor? Because cleaning the floor sucks. And then you say, I know, but when you get down and play on the floor and it's all nice and clean, you really like that, don't you? Like, I do like that. And I'm thinking right now, I'm almost picturing my hands getting down onto that floor and my hands touching gravel, because we have a gravel driveway. And as a little kid going, oh, I don't like that. and I don't like that. So then it's just a conversation about, you know what, Pumpkin? I know you don't like to clean the floor. So why don't you go to your happy place, be in your happy place, and I'll get that floor done for you. And it's going to be sparkly and clean, and you are going to love it. And I'm going to do it for you because I love you. And you don't have to worry about it. I'm going to get this done for you. In Sylvia, if you were to walk into my house right now and I wasn't feeling good, it wouldn't matter what was going on. Out of love for me, think of how you would feel in your heart if you cleaned my floors for me, if you came to visit because I didn't feel good. and I didn't want it, or even because I just was feeling
Right.
overwhelmed and just didn't want to do it, but it was driving me nuts.
Right.
The floor's driving me nuts. I feel overwhelmed. But I don't want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Think of what that energy is as the adult doing something for someone you love.
Mm-hmm.
Honey, I'm going to do this for you because it's
Mm-hmm.
driving you crazy. I can feel that it's driving you crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Does that stuff drive you crazy? Like I get nuts with things too cluttered and
Graham and I are very similar and then also very opposite. So it's very funny. I have it takes so much energy for me to stay tidy and clean, but I absolutely require it to not go batshit crazy. So it's a very awkward scenario where sometimes what I do is just choose an area of the house that I want to keep clean. Like, of course, the kitchen is like the main. When the kitchen goes to shit, then you know that everything else is full, like everywhere. But like right now, there's clothes all over the floor in my room. Some of them are dirty, some of them are not. But I'm ignoring it because I can't get mad at myself. So that's
Right.
the adult Sylvia saying,
Right. It's
you know
okay.
what, it's okay.
They're right
We're just
there.
going to deal with it later,
That's
right?
right.
So,
That's right.
but yeah, I know what you mean. I
But
think,
then when you
yeah.
go to do it, do it, sit and look and just say, have that internal dialogue. Oh, that does suck. And I
Mhm.
know how much you love it. And picture it when it's spotless. Picture the feeling,
Yeah.
that feeling. Oh, I know how you love that, darling. And I love you so much. I love you so much. And you know what I'm gonna do for you, Pumpkin? I'm gonna do 1/4 of the floor for you right now. And I'm just gonna do it for you because I love you.
Yeah.
Or I'm gonna do the whole thing, whatever feels good. I will say to my inner child, because I'm a wicked, you described to me, it's difficult for me to keep picked up after. I'm wicked, I'm a slob, but I want it to be neat.
Yeah.
And so, I'll say to myself, I'll play a little game in my head and I'll say, the next time you walk into the bedroom, that's the closed, dirty, clean, you just described my bathroom. And I'll play a game with myself and I'll say, I'm going to take care of 5 things because I love you. And I'll go in and I'll just do 5 things. And quite often, and while you're doing the 5 things, you might play in your mind and say, like if it's Michael's, you might say, aren't you lucky you got that awesome husband? And I decide, do I put it in the dirty clothes? Do I fold it and put it away? And then I pick up the thing and it might be a nice shirt and I'll say, aren't you lucky? Look at all the nice clothes you have. It's energy, Sylvia. It's energy. It's just playing games. But bigger than that, I call those things tips and tricks.
Yeah.
Those fall under the heading of tips and tricks, but it all builds for the bigger thing. The bigger thing is in the same way that you are able to love and nurture those around you, love and nurture yourself. And so the question is, do you feel like you do know how to love and nurture?
Well, that's funny because that's what's rolling around in my head because I feel like that wasn't an obvious message when I was growing up, and that's not as it was anyway. Like I don't want to digress. It's given me a nice thick skin and it's helped me be where I am at today. I mean, I wouldn't be who I am, obviously. And I understand a lot of those big picture kind of, I get what you're saying. They had to be who they were in order to give me my experience. And I'm doing the same thing with my own kids. And,
right.
But I do, so, the question was about loving yourself. I would say that when I was young, I don't think I ever felt like my parents loved me. And I don't mean that in like a woe is me, like, oh my God, like they were the worst. It just wasn't, it's hard to explain. But then I've done a lot of work on knowing who they are. Yeah. And they were not loved. They were not loved way less than I was, if that makes sense. So I'm getting I got 50% more than they ever got. So my kids are getting more than they ever got. But it's just hard to continue to witness it, I guess, and it's just very odd. My mom's mom is 93 this week. And it's weird to watch their relationship because it's just weird. Anyway, so the love part I have to work on for myself. And it's a very strange.
And I
What's
remember,
the word? It's
I,
like not even comfortable.
yeah, I remember reading books. I'm the queen of self-help. I remember reading books and it would talk about self-love. And I would think, I don't get that. I remember thinking, does it mean putting lotion on? I always used to think like caring for yourself after a bath and taking the time to put lotion on. Is that what the fuck? I didn't know what the fuck they meant.
Sure, well, yeah.
But now I get it because I think about it. I think about it like the difference between I'm going to walk into the kitchen and I'm going to make a cup of tea. I'm going to go get a cup of tea. And you get up, you go, you're thinking about whatever, you make your cup of tea and you come and you sit back down and blah, blah, blah. Or saying, having the thought go in my head, geez, I'd like a cup of tea. And then reminding myself, okay, here's a good way to do a good example or a good turn. No, that isn't practice. This is a time to practice. That's the word I'm looking for. And so you say, sweetheart, would you like a cup of tea? And I say, I would. And you say to yourself, I'd like to get you that cup of tea. Would you like anything with it? And I think, oh, I might like something with it. Let me think about it a minute. I hadn't really thought about it. Yeah, I guess I would. I'd have one of those cookies. I will get you one of those cookies. And you know what else I'm going to do? I'm going to put it on a plate just right the way you like it. I'm going to use your favorite cup the way you like it because I love you. That's self-love.
Yeah.
The things that we do, instead of going out to do your gardening, you say, Sylvia, guess what we're going to do now? We're going to go play in the dirt. You ready to go? And you take that minute and you think, oh, I'm going to go play in the dirt. And then little Sylvia might be like, I want to get really dirty. And big Sylvia can be like, we're going to get as dirty as we want to get. If you want to throw dirt around, we're going to get just as damn dirty as we want to get. And it is a nurturing. If I were to come into your home, how would you give me a cup of coffee? How would you fix me a cocktail? How would you fix me a snack? You would do it with care and deliberateness, and you'd think about the nicest that you could give me. I know you would. We always do for others. We're fucking programmed that way.
Yeah.
But when we turn that mirror back onto yourself and let go of any time you haven't, let that remind you about that whole egoic thing, the ego mind, past and future. Any thought that is in the past or in the future that isn't a legitimate, oh yeah, don't forget we got to go to the doctors tomorrow. That's what your ego mind's for. Oh look, there's no milk. I need to buy milk. That's your ego mind. That's what it's for. But when it is, oh, what if I forget to do that? Or I bet I won't practice tomorrow. Oh, I bet I'm going to forget to do blah, blah, blah. Oh, that's all fucking ego. Or if it's, well, I fucked that up. Look how I did that. I screwed that up. Look how I got through yesterday. I sucked yesterday. I was mopey yesterday. I was depressed yesterday. Look at yesterday. Ego, 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 ego. Push it away in whatever way you can, and it does not matter how you do it. Come to the present moment and create space. Create space. And when I say that, I mean literally close your eyes for a minute when your brain is going like that. See behind your eyes, see the darkness behind your eyes, and see it as space. Just see it as space, like you're looking into an empty black room. It's like when there is space, the minute I do that, I can feel the energy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, okay.
But so building on that, when we create that space, when we settle into ourselves and we can quiet, go back. I know you have my books, go back and reread the section about the monkeys. That is very, for me, it's effective. Now, it may not be for you, but when my brain starts going, And
Yep.
and it's that fucking Jesus Christ, you're fighting with
Yeah,
somebody in your head. Oh, I hate that. Jesus,
I do that a lot.
I've asked light language, take that away. It just is part of the human. They'll help take it away in the moment, but it just does.
Right.
It's part of being human. It's duality. It's the
Mhm.
ego mind the more the ego mind can keep us from being in that beautiful, loving, centered space, that they want to be in control. It's the way to think about it. It's like it's an entity that wants to be in control. We want consciousness to be in control. So
Right.
when I say in my videos to drop into your heart, I mean move your consciousness into the space that's your chest.
Mm.
Okay, you feel
Okay.
you see what I'm feeling? And then try to make it be a little bit bigger. Try to make it be a little bit bigger. Then you breathe into that space. Breathe into it and make it bigger. Breathe it in. Into your chest. And feel it get bigger. Feel the space get bigger. And just feel it. Wait. Listen. It's right there. Consciousness is right there. And then breathe it in. Get bigger. Out around your body. Feel the space. That's where consciousness can find us. That's where we can connect. That's where we connect, Sylvie. That's how we can feel that cord that is connecting the shard that is Kelly to the all that is my wholeness that's non-physical. That's how, and it's that connection when we are living our life from that space of connection. That's the space where the good stuff happens. And then when we fall and we do something rotten, we holler at our kids, we swear at our husbands, whatever the fuck we do, we all do that stuff. Everyone does that stuff. When we do it, you got to let it go. You got to just let it go because it's already done. And the only reality is now. Now,
Right.
now, it's the only reality. It's gone. But if you spend now thinking about being a bitch, and now thinking about being a bitch, and now thinking about being a bitch, you've had the energy of bitch in all those fucking moments.
Right.
And so you can say, you pull into adult and you go, well, that was fucking bitchy, wasn't it? Well, poof, poof, be gone, And I send them with the monkeys, drag that fucking bitch over there and give her a good dunking in that pond. I've got this whole scenario in my brain.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, that's the whole monkey thing is, it started with, I can see it in my mind, a convertible driving with ego, Mr. Ego, whoever ego is. I'm out the window having a good old fucking time because I've lost it. I'm not connected. I'm in human bitchy ugly mode. And that fucking car is spinning up the mud and and ego's having a great old time. And I can just see the mud splattering. And behind that car and in that car are all these fucking monkeys. Don't ask me why, but they are. There's monkeys. There's monkeys behind the car. There's monkeys in the car. And they're playing with the mud and they're winding that and they're pissed right off. They're winding that mud at each other. They are winding that mud and the guy driving that car is laughing, having a hell of a time. Over here, there is this gorgeous, pristine, sparkly, I can see it in my mind, glistening, sparkly, blue silver pond of pure positive energy. And there's lots and lots of monkeys in that beautiful pond. And they are basking and they're throwing the water up, and I can see the sparkles of all that gorgeous energy just flying. And they're going, come on over here. And those ones that are out there throwing the mud, they're looking over and they're like, no. And they stay bitching. And then they'll splash that positive energy. And maybe one of them will get out of the water and walk towards them and throw a bucket to get that positive energy. And by the time I've worked my way through this fucking scenario, my energy has lifted because it's so silly and stupid. And so then I take my monkeys and I walk them over to the pond and I have them dive in. I have them cannonball. I have them do somersaults. I have them splash and play and laugh and whatever. And then my energy is all better again.
Oh,
That's the monkey. That's the monkey process.
Right, I know. Look at that. I have to look it up.
I don't know if I'm that clear with it because they've built on it. I was snow sledding one day. I'm in my snow sled and I don't know what Michael did. He was probably too far ahead of me or something that was pissed me off. And I'm fighting with him in my head. Now here I am on a sled. Tell me what good am I doing? Fighting with my husband in my head. Perfect day, nice temperature, sunny sky, and I'm in my head.
Yeah.
So I put a tag sled behind my sled in my mind, and I fill it with my monkeys. And they're throwing snowballs, and they're starting to have fun. And then it brought me out of it.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, it's and I'm very visual. Are you visual?
It's funny. I'm very visual, but I feel like I'm losing that skill. I used to be more visual, I think, but visual is a thing for me. I don't know. Yeah.
Like, could you see the monkeys and the Corvette, the
I can imagine
convertible?
it,
yeah.
sure,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You say red rose. If I say red rose, can you see a red rose immediately in your mind?
Yeah. Okay.
There are people that can't. Teaching is hard, but
it is so hard.
I'm going to tell you something though, honey. I'm going to, with all love and zero judgment, the external stuff isn't going to fix what needs to be fixed. Changing your job, changing your husband, changing your kids.
No, yeah.
None of that's going to fix and make you feel better. You got to do the work. The work comes from inside, because that's the whole thing. You can be in any situation. You can be on your hands and knees, scrubbing around a toilet with a fucking toothbrush, and be doing it with a giggly, giddy, joyful energy, or a fuck my life, this sucks energy. And it's our choice every moment. But you know what else too, hon? Please absorb my knowing that they don't even see us when we're fucking up. They just don't. It just don't even hit their radar. I was.
What do you mean?
Meaning, like, so that goes back to my religious upbringing and making God cry and Jesus cry if I was bad. If I thought bad thoughts, Jesus would cry and all that. So I've always had that feeling of, disappointing people, letting people down. I'm not doing it right. I'm not good enough. It's worthiness. It all goes to worthiness.
Yeah, there's a ton of that in my.
Yeah. And so when I do something wrong, which, that I judge by society or training or whatever that is wrong, I'm feeling bitchy today. I feel guilty and I feel bad and I feel unworthy. I feel all of that stuff. That is the time. That's when you bring your little girl out. If you're feeling the angst of something, if you're feeling guilty about something, think about if it was a friend coming to you, telling you, your bestest friend telling you, this is what I've done. You have that shifting. This is the goal. This is the process. This is the whatever, to shift into that perspective of looking at it through a neutral eye, seeing it. So let's, I said something rotten and hurt my kids' feelings or whatever, and I feel bad.
Right.
So you've got a friend that's come to you and said, I did this. And you feel that neutral, non-judgmental place. If you're, Sylvia, feeling guilty about that, you pull away from that and you think about it through the eyes of a 3, 4, 5-year-old. And you say, honey, I think you're feeling guilty. Or you don't even tell her how she's feeling, because we were never listened to, Sylvia. So say to her, honey, how are you feeling right now? And then try to think about being a 5-year-old in the circumstance of whatever it is that's making you feel bad. And so I'm going to try to do that. I'm 5 years old, and me, Kelly, big Kelly, just was rotten to my kid, my daughter. Say I said something rotten to my daughter, hurt her feelings, and I'm feeling guilty about it. I'm going to just think about that a minute. So I would start by saying, honey, it seems like you're upset. Do you want to talk to me about it? Well, yeah. How about, would you like to come sit up in my lap? Yeah, I think I would. Come right up here and sit in my lap. And then you bring her in your mind right up and sit her on your lap. Put your arms right around her, and I do this. I hold myself and I say, let me wrap us in our Grammy quilt. Let's wrap right up in our favorite quilt. And I, in my mind, or I do it for real if I have one handy, wrap right up, and I wrap us up, and I almost always rock because I love to rock. And some of the happy times of my childhood was when Mama was rocking me, which she did occasionally. And so I rock and I say to her, tell me what's going on with you. Why are you feeling so upset? Well, you was mean to Miranda. Yeah, I was, wasn't I? Yes, you was. Well, what do you think's going to happen? Well, what if she hates me? What if she decides she hates us and doesn't ever come around anymore? Well, honey, do you think she's not going to come around because I was mean one time to her? Well, she might not. Well, why do you think that? Well, because every time I ever do anything wrong, I'm sent down to my room to be by myself. Nobody wants to be around you when you're bad. Oh, you feel like you're being bad. Well, yes, I'm bad. Honey, you feel bad? Yes, I feel bad. And you just continue that conversation. Why do you feel bad? Because Mama yelled at me all the time, or daddy would come through the door and stomp his feet, and I was always scared. You know, things will uncover. It is not the object of the game, Sylvia, to uncover it all. I don't think we have to go back into our history and relive and talk about all that shit that went on. I don't think we do, but we talk about the feelings. How are you feeling, honey? Tell me how you're feeling. And then you just say, sweetheart, I can tell you, as adult Kelly, I can tell you that Miranda's always going to love you. We have the ability to tell her that we're sorry and make up. We're going to make it be okay. She's not going to stop loving us because we did this. It's okay. And you know what, darling? I love you so much. You are so important just for being. You don't have to do anything. You can be as rotten as you want to be, and you're still perfect. And I love you just the way you are. And I want to hear what you have to say. I want you to tell me what you want to say. You can talk to me. You can tell me how you're feeling. Having someone, adult Kelly, who is fabulous and smart and whatever, say to the inner Kelly, sweetheart, you can tell me anything, you can say anything you want to say. I'm here for you. It's like, oh my God, it feels so good to just be listened to. Yeah. And not judged.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, the judgment part.
Yeah. It is a process, my darling. It is a process, and it is something that you practice over and over again. I read in my book, I want you to know that I am actively rereading my book again.
Okay.
And what I'm doing, it's a teaching strategy that you may know. Read the chapter and pick out like the 5 big nuggets. So I'm doing that, and I'm jotting down. So I'm really studying the chapters now. Okay. And I just reread the chapter where I transcribe a whole thing about my inner child. And I do it as a dialogue between adult Kelly, inner child, adult Kelly, inner child. And that's I think that's pretty helpful.
Yeah. It is a practice. I think just the avoidance of it, of anything forever, has been my problem. So just not avoiding it, I guess.
But don't look at it as an it. look at the present moment and say,
Right.
what
Right.
can I do in this present moment that will make me feel loved? What
Okay.
can I do
Yeah.
for myself in this present moment that's going to give me joy?
Mhm.
And it may be the giddy silliness of playing that game in your head of, I'm gonna clean your bedroom for you, sweet pea, because I love you. And you play the game. Or you like, I race because the
Oh,
playfulness
that's fun.
is your inner child. Or I count
Right.
how many things are on the floor, how many,
Oh, yeah.
you know what I mean? I just play games
Yeah,
in my
yeah.
head. You know,
Yeah.
let's see how fast, let's look at the clock. How fast do you think we can get all this cleaned up? Let's see.
Oh, that's fun. Yeah, yeah.
And then when we get it done, what we're gonna have a surprise. What do you want for a surprise when this is done? And you're like, oh, I'm gonna have a hot cocoa, or I'm gonna have a cookie, or I'm gonna sit on the deck with a cup of tea, you know, whatever.
Right.
You know, you give yourself
Yeah.
that reward in the same way that you would when you're teaching that inner child and you're loving her. Let's bring through some light language and
Okay.
let's think what we want to ask it for, because it's always good, I feel like, to direct it a little bit.
Okay.
I think just to be reminded throughout the day, to just be present, to be present in the moment, to not try to eat our apple in one great big bite, to take one bite at a time, one moment at a time, just to have those reminders throughout the day and to remind us how loved we are and how connected we are to all and how blessed we are to have created this beautiful spirit family that's just a good thing for all of us. It's such a blessing. Aziara como toko oma akatiza katoruk ozo turumayana koda kazikatara komatia zakato. Aria mio nozo komiana kara kototoko kotosiki katata arakiara kono oria matara kisarakata. Knowing how loved you are. Ariara makotoroko ziara ketira katatrakumata katikata sakata. Connected to the all. Ariara monyono kotosikiara kata. Ozoko akamiana katoto kata. Across all timelines, all dimensions, all incarnations, and all realms. Ariara komonyono sokota akatozi kiara katoto ramani ana katoto kata. Rakiata toko akoto sakamayana katokatia katoto matatarkiata kutus kiara kato ariara koturu komayana kotuts kiara katatara kiara koto azi kariera komanyana goes or kuriara katoto tamayana kotudu. Step into the space behind your eyes. Ariara kazuko umo kariara katizi yara kananoto katara kata. Are como toko oko sika akaramanyono kotuzo kuzi kika to uziki ika tata atata kotoko uso kototo. Ah, sì, le kira kotoro manyan do tupakata atasi tira tato okoto uto usa tata kata katara oso kototo kia manyana koto ara manyono kototo. Shiko oka asaka omanya aka aza kikirika okato uzuka azaka toto oko tike manamotka tikona wonia tapataka raza kuru kiatara kotika tukuriara ngari kuru kostiara kototo ochi kiara kototo kototo. Asi ito si amatata oto uria tata sirio to uzo to oju tata. Oh, she had sending it all, anything that doesn't serve us, right down to Mother Earth. I hope you enjoyed the video. It comes directly from my heart, and I think that this woman's experiences are so common to all of us. I didn't delete very much out of the entire session with her permission. She very graciously knew that the information that came through would be stuff that would help everybody. So I hope everyone enjoyed it. Like, subscribe, and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.